What do you see going on and happening in the world in the next 5 to 10 years?
You know, the way things are going, you know, technology is getting better.
Mm-hmm.
Things are going to move much faster. You know, there needs to be a big emphasis on, you know, education and, you know, happiness. You know, like you said, what? Because I think like up to this point, we've been so focused on money.
Yeah, like
and I think
economic growth, GDP, that kind of stuff, right? At scale, that's been government focuses more, right? And less on happiness, more on financial gains.
Yeah, that's it. And I think like since COVID happened, I know a lot of people who changed jobs or they've created something and they want to go back to that job. So people are, you know, focusing more on what makes them happy. And I think in the next 5 to 10 years, I think that needs to be the focus of, you know, doing what makes you happy. You know, you do what you love and what makes you happy, the money will follow. That's what someone said to me. And, you know, that'll make you, you know, a millionaire if you really have that passion for it. And, you know, we can all do something for money. I was thinking the other day, some of the jobs I've done in the past and I wasn't happy. Whereas this, I've not been getting paid for this. And this, you know, do you know what I mean? The happiness it creates is far greater than doing a job you don't like and being paid for it. So I think like happiness is going to be a big emphasis on, you know, the way things are. And I think that, you know, people need to have, I find that people need to have more empathy, you know?
I think it is going to be, I don't know if I'm just being overly optimistic, but I think it is sort of this kind of wave coming over society. And I think people are going to be more focused on happiness and having good balance in life, right? And maybe part of that is because we live in a time where, you know, we don't need these millions of people to be working in factories per se, right? Like there's opportunity to do work that you love and enjoy, and not so much like, you know, maybe 100 years ago, there was less of that, right? It's either you worked in a factory or you did such and such a thing, but there was less opportunity, you know, throughout human history before to do something that you enjoyed and made you happy, and also to, you know, have financial gain from that, right? So
yeah, no, that's exactly it. And I think like, you know, if someone's doing something, we've all got to do, everyone's got to do a certain job, you know, everyone's got to work, but, you know, like we need people doing certain jobs. It's how, you know, the cogs work. But like if someone's not happy in that job, keep doing that job for a set amount of time until you build enough capital to then look for the next thing and go do that and say, thank you very much, I'm doing this now. And, you know, I think a lot, what I've been thinking about recently is that a lot of people say, oh, I'm not old. They worry about age and their time. You know, I haven't got enough time. I'm too old now. And, you know, like a lot of successful people out there started later in life. Colonel Sanders, the guy who started KFC, was like, I think he was in his 60s or 70s. Samuel L. Jackson, he was like in his 40s when he fell into acting.
Right. And even some of the most famous podcasters that I follow, at least, like, you know, Joe Rogan, Tim Ferriss, and then even guys like Gary Vee, they're all in their 40s or 50s, right? And they're kind of at the prime of their life, right? And they're just loving it. They have all this energy, they have all this time, and everything's seems to be working out for them. So that's like, I don't have enough time, or I'm getting too old. That's definitely not a valid thing to be saying to yourself. What about podcasting? How do you see that going forward for yourself and maybe just in general? There's probably lots of people. It would be interesting to see statistics on how many people started a podcast during this lockdown time.
I mean, I don't know what the actual statistics are of how many podcasts are out there, but I think it's around 50 million podcasts, something like that. I remember Joe Rogan mentioned it. It's probably gone up. It's probably increased now.
Yeah.
You know, with podcasting, there's so much freedom. It's not censored. And I think that it's only going to grow much more. And there'll probably be more competition because there'll be more people doing it. It's trying to leverage that podcast into something else. It's a bit like when people do blogs. There's lots of famous people out there who started a blog. I think, you know, you have to kind of reach a point where you monetize it in some way. You know, that I wouldn't say that should be your main focus. That comes with it. So I think, you know, there'll be more people doing it. You know, I've had a few people who've been on my podcast and then they've done their own podcast.
Right.
And the things we talk about, it has a ripple effect, you know, like, you know, people who will be watching this, you know, it will change their perspective, hopefully. And I think, it will just roll in popularity, I think.
Yes. Yeah. And it is so connected in other ways, right? Like this, for example, I'll chop up, put some on Instagram, put some on YouTube, right? So then in that sense, it becomes something more, this sort of content and different things are just so interconnected, and it branches out. Maybe I do a blog post from this podcast, right? Maybe in the future, after doing podcasts for a year, I write a book referencing the podcasts that I've done, kind of like what Tim Ferriss did with his book, Tools for Titans, right? So it really just branches out, and these things all overlap and interconnect. And that's what I think the beauty lies in that, right? And the opportunity is really in that interconnectedness of it all.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think as well, like, because you're doing a podcast, someone said it to me, you can almost put it on your CV, put it on your CV or put it on your LinkedIn. And when you go for a job, this is what I've done for this amount of time. And, it shows that you have an interest in people.
Right.
And I didn't see it in that perspective until someone from a different angle pointed it out. And it's like, we can look back on this content, and, as long as you, like I said, putting out content, you can then probably we can look back at this in probably 5 years' time and see how far we've come and what we've done.
Yeah.
And you can see